Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to your January soul session. We are going to, excuse me, I promise I don't have COVID. I'm going to jump into you guys' cards. We're going to first be looking at an overall energy for the month as well as a challenge. And then we're going to get into the central energy for you guys. So let's see what's going on for, you all for January. Interesting. The first card out for your overall energy, if my camera will be a nice machine. Wait, dagnabbit. Okay. I think that's as good as it's going to get. I'm going to fix this lighting eventually. Been saying that in every single reading. We have the 7 of Swords for you guys, overall energy. Now, most of you guys who know me know that anytime the 7 of Swords comes out, I always say what you skip will trip you up later. So the thing that's important here, Scorpio, for the month of January is to be mindful of your patterns, of knowing where it is that you have a tendency to skip steps, making sure that you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's, and that you're not partaking in avoidance, if I could say it that way. Because typically when there's certain things, and I apologize for shuffling in your ear, oftentimes, each of us have our little qualms about certain things. Like certain things we'll try to avoid. You know what I mean? Like for some people, it can be like confrontation. If you don't like confrontation, I don't really feel like Scorpio has that problem, to be honest. But it's more or less making sure that you're not going to shoot yourself in the foot. So it's making sure that you're not avoiding things. You're not trying to take shortcuts with anything this month, and that you're more or less facing things head on. If you don't like somebody, being honest that you don't like them. If you don't like your job, if there's something about your life that you don't like, it's more or less, well, yeah, that's a whole word right there. More or less, because what it is I just heard is the mind trap that Scorpio could fall into, with your theme being the 7 of Swords, is calling like avoidance strategy. You feel what I'm saying? So it's more or less like there's something this month that you guys need to face head on, like that you need to look in the face, right? Like I said, it's like with somebody that you don't like, it's like being like, I don't like you. You know what I'm saying? There's something that you guys need to face head on this month, but there's going to be the temptation to sidestep this. So you can call it strategy, because I've been saying that a lot, like because of all the blocked energy I've been seeing in January for everyone. I'm like, this is a month to kind of like strategize. But I feel for you guys specifically, that's important to highlight, because this would be a pattern that you have. It's like, as opposed to being honest about the fact that your boss, you feel like your boss is targeting you and giving you more work than everyone else, as opposed to speaking to your boss and saying, hey, I feel like, how the work is being shifted out, that it's unbalanced and I feel like I'm getting more, right? As opposed to doing that, you secretly are on, LinkedIn and Indeed, and you're secretly applying for jobs because your plan is, at the busiest time for your company, you're going to quit and, not even give a 2 weeks notice. It's like, I'm just going to be a no-show that day. And it's like, that'll teach them, you know what I'm saying? It's that kind of vibe. Or, if there's a person that you're friends with and they're engaging in a behavior that you feel is extremely dismissive, right? As opposed to calling your friend and being like, hey, I feel like you're hella dismissive with this. It's like ghosting them. You know what I'm saying? That's very much 7 of Swords energy. Now, why it is I say what you skip will trip you up later is you not confronting it head on, even if it's not with the people that you've kind of sidestepped it with. It's going to come back to bite you in the butt, because you're going to have to face it, even if it's at another job or with another friend group. And it's like, it's almost like karmic energy that keeps building up. You know what I'm saying? It's going to keep coming back around until you deal with it. So I feel in the month of January, it's imperative for you guys to finally face this particular thing, because what it is ultimately that you're facing, and I said this to Sagittarius, so if you have that in your chart, check it out. But with them, their whole thing for the month of January was all about them coming to like this crossroads and finally making a decision of like what hill they're going to die on and going full force in that particular direction without looking back. And with you guys, I feel the same way. It's like, as opposed to, so it is a little bit of avoiding conflict, which I think is, that's not typical for you guys. But it's well, I mean, it's I don't think y'all would see it as avoiding conflict. It's just almost like y'all kind of, I wouldn't even say sticking it to the person. It's just like some things are better left unsaid, and there's no need for me to say anything, like you're ghosted, like you're dead to me. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, but the whole thing is like you guys clearly picking a side, like picking a hill to proverbially die on and going with that full force. You know what I'm saying? And not leaving that to be, because that's like a light form of indecision, which is why I feel like whatever conflicting energy keeps kind of following you guys around, right? Now, your challenge, interesting. Your challenge is the Hanged Man. Oh my God, this is so annoying. Whatever, that's as good as it's getting. Is the Hanged Man. And of course, the running joke with this is one day I forgot what signs represents, so I just said it's Aquarius, Pisces, and Cancer, whatever's relevant to you. So with the Hanged Man, this is more or less your challenge this month. Scorpio, is to have this epiphany, right? So with me saying these things, even if me saying them, you're just like, I don't do that. Like, that is not me. Da, 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 I don't do things like that. I feel like your challenge this month, regardless of what it is that I'm saying, is more or less you guys are in this blocked energy, like the 11 signs prior to you. So this is a month to where things are kind of paused, to where you're still sitting back and reflecting on some things, especially the things that have come up since like the 13th of December, because that's when Mercury went retrograde. But it's like you taking a step back to get really clear, to kind of look at things. So in January, it wouldn't hurt to kind of do an end of year audit. You know what I'm saying? To look back at 2023 and see what your end goal was. How far were you from achieving that goal? How many things happened in 2023 that were disappointing to you? What decisions did you make? If even if you feel like you don't resonate with what it is that I was saying with the Seven of Swords, just humor yourself to kind of look at different experiences and just, kind of fraternize with the idea of like, am I doing that in any way? Is there anything that I'm avoiding? Has there been any people that I've ghosted? Why did I ghost them, as opposed to having a conversation? And more often than not, whenever I suggest things like that, people usually say it's just like, because what's the point in talking to them? Like, it's only going to go, this particular way anyway. You know what I'm saying? But the question is like asking yourself, with the way that you have been approaching things up to this point, is it really behooving you? You know what I'm saying? Is it beneficial to you? Has it been helping you? Has it gotten you any farther? And really taking time to sit with that. So I feel the challenge this month is you guys kind of having like an enlightenment or an aha, or more specifically, looking, or very literally, looking at your life and how it is that you've been engaging with things, people, situations, and circumstances from another perspective. You know what I'm saying? Almost like playing devil's advocate with yourself, in a sense, if you will. Now, your central energy that represents you for the month of January came out for Sagittarius. We have the Two of Wands. Well, my camera likes me again. We have the Two of Wands in the reverse. And that's exactly the card I was talking about with them, because that was in their immediate future energy. It's like you guys are at a crossroads, like dead ass. You're stuck where you are, right? There's a need to make a decision. But what's more important about this, Scorpio, is your past is a heavy influence as to why it is that you are where you are, right? Even going back to the Seven of Swords and Hangman, there is something that, and I've said this to literally all 11 signs prior to you, there is something past tense that occurred that made you make a decision about yourself or other people, alter yourself, right? Which by default has chained you to that past situation. So everything that it is that you are today is a byproduct of that decision that you made to alter yourself, right? in the past. And that's the reason why there's this inability to move forward, right? So the thing that you're skipping that is continuously tripping you up later is whatever that past experience is that made you feel like you needed to stop trusting people, stop dating, like whatever it is you altered about yourself, not trust people, not let people in, not let people know the real you, whatever you're tiptoeing around, it's like that thing, you're still ball and chain to that. Your whole present life is, built as an homage to this trauma or whatever it is that you went through past tense. Of course, you're not going to see it that way. No one ever does. But that's literally what the Two of Wands is speaking about. It's like the binding of the past or the freedom and liberation of the future. And that's really what it is that you're making a decision about in the month of January. It's like, do you want to continue forward into 2024 the same way that you have every year prior to this one? And I mean, I'm pretty sure it would be a no, because I mean, where is that fun? Who wants to continuously relive their past? You know what I'm saying? But of course, there's things that come with that. There's fears that's involved in that because we get so used to living like that. It's like, what is life supposed to look like if, I'm trusting people again? What if someone screws over me again? You know what I'm saying? But anywho, looking at your recent past energy, oh gosh, we have the Seven of Wands. That's a lot of like not trusting, feeling like people coming up against you. Anyway, and your above energy. Oh, look at that. I might be psychic. We have the Six of Cuppies and your hidden influences. We have the Six of Wands. Oh my God. I mean, Six of Swords. Oh my God. I quit. I hate that. I keep trying to make. I'm going to fix this lighting. And then, oh, that's interesting. Who had that? Sagittarius had that? Then moving forward, your immediate future going into February, we have the Ace of Swords. It's looking up for you guys. So what it is looking like, my wonderful Scorpios. So we're talking about you guys being in the crossroads, needing to make a decision of if you're going to continue to build your life in relation to your past, or if you're going to cut ties with that completely. That is helped up by the Six of Cups. And I said this with Aquarius, I think. Was it Aquarius? I don't remember. A Virgo, I think. I don't know. Somebody. But with the Six of Cups, more or less, there's like a nostalgic energy. So there is a desire that's looming around you, a desire for something that you guys may have experienced past tense. So it's more or less like a relationship or a way of being or a situation or circumstance. And that's kind of replaying in your head. But the reason for this replaying in your head is because it's almost acting as like an omen, if you will, or an oracle. It's like a sign that's saying like, hey, remember back then when you were like super, super happy? My sneaking suspicion would be that this is before that thing happened. It's like, remember when you had like, I don't know, like a bunch of friends, or when you loved going to work every day, you know what I'm saying? Because you loved your job or whatever. That's almost acting as like, what's the word I want to say? The first thing I want to say was a binding agent. That's not the proper term for it, but it's almost acting as, I don't even know what word to use for that. It's not a temptation. I'm doing this because this is like the energy signature that I feel, but it's almost like, do I want to say seducing? Let's just go with that. But like, this is almost like seducing or like soliciting you to like pay attention to this once upon a time energy, because that's a reflection of like the truth of who it is that you are, or the truth or honest presentation of your desires, in so many words, right? But coming into this month from the latter part of 2023 with the Seven of Wands, it's having this feeling like everything is against you, right? So I feel with this, there's an element of like not trusting people, or feeling like alone, like feeling like you have to fight and protect yourself, or like what's yours, you know what I'm saying? And I don't really feel like, I don't want to deny anyone's reality and say that that's not happening, but I feel it's important, again, with the challenge being the Hangman, to see this from a different perspective, because I feel like this is really a perception issue. It feels to me almost as if things that you guys have been through past tense, like I said, it's influencing your perspective. So it's like we're looking at a glass of water, you know, and the question is it half empty or is it half full, right? Neither are right or wrong. It's just a matter of perspective. It's how it is that you're looking at life, you know? And I said that with another sign too, with the Seven of Wands. The question you want to ask yourself is, do you believe that life is happening to you or is life happening for you? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the most important thing. So, whichever side of that you fall on with this hangman energy, your challenge would be to, like I said, play devil's advocate with yourself and see life from another perspective. If you feel like life is happening to you, right? Flirt with the idea of seeing life from the perspective if things were happening for you. You know, it's not saying you have to change your whole perspective in one day, but just kind of, you know, play with it. You know what I'm saying? And see how that kind of shifts your perspective with things. Because I feel perceiving life from the perspective that everything is against you, like everything's happening to you, with the Seven of Wands, and like you're protecting something, that's still like, it's a screaming neon sign to you still being stuck and invested in this thing that happened to you past tense. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened to you way back when that made you start thinking this way, it's like you're still feeding that particular monster, you know? And I feel the whole call this particular month is for you to remember, prior to this thing, how it is that you perceive life, like when you were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And a lot of times we can, and I said that with Sag, a lot of times when we think about our past self, we can perceive our past self as like foolish and too trusting and da 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 da. But the truth of the matter is, it's like your past self like had a sense of wonder, believed that, you know, things were possible. And I feel for the Scorpios that resonate with this, it's more or less you've lost that sense of wonder. It's like seeing life as like monotonous, just same old people, same old, like almost perceiving things as, thank you. My guides just said something about this Ace of Swords. I'm like, thanks. That's wonderful. Um, but it's more or less like limiting yourself of what's possible in your life because you're seeing everything outside of you as limiting. So it's seeing people as if, you know, I know how people are, I know how women are, I know how men are, I know how bosses are. This is the way that, you know, people are, they maneuver like this and they can't be trusted and da 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 da. So all of these absolute judgments that are made about things, and that's limiting, right? Because now it's like, okay, you're not going to engage with a certain population of people because they're all, you know, this particular way. So that's like a whole slew of experiences that you're never going to have because you're not fraternizing with these people, right? The more and more judgments that you make like that about other people, it limits even more your experiences or your interactions or your engagements in life. You know what I'm saying? So more or less, it, you by default will become cynical and pessimistic in seeing life through the lens of, you know, the glass being half full. But the energy that's seducing you this month, if I can say it that way, is for you more or less to use this Seven of Swords to actually not skip the thing and to like face it and almost come to a certain awareness of like, I'm like this because of this particular thing, but to take a step back and remember yourself for how it is that you were prior to to Sag as well. Did I freeze again? I still don't know because I haven't watched these back yet. I don't know that when it freezes on my end, if y'all see me frozen, because the way I was frozen just now, child was like, oh. But anyway, I'm gonna feel so embarrassed, like if I'm not freezing and I'm just like still talking and y'all are like, what is she talking about? But anyway, so anywho, I feel the whole premise with this is for you to re-engage with that version of yourself prior to said thing happening. And that's like the part of yourself you can learn something from because that is your authentic self. Now, mind you, you taking this person and integrating it with your present self, that's not a bad thing because since you know, put baby in the corner, you have learned a lot of stuff. You've experienced a lot of things. You've gained wisdom. you know how to set boundaries and things of the sort, right? So that person is protected. So if you're, and that's what we have a tendency to do, we have a tendency to distance ourselves from our authentic self because we blame them for being the cause of bad things that happen to us. So it's like back in the day, I was super, super trusting. And because of me being so trusting, I had a best friend that betrayed me, right? So it's like, I'm not going to trust people anymore. I'm not going to have friends, right? That's an inauthentic version of yourself. Why? Because prior to this person betraying you, you were a person who liked having a best friend and liked having friends. The truth is, you didn't like being betrayed, but you being betrayed was no fault of your own. It was the fault of that particular person. There are shitty people in the world. But does that mean that you cut yourself completely off? No, but that's what we do as human beings. That's why I always talk about the Likert scale. We go from one side of the Likert scale, no boundaries, to the other side of the Likert scale where we have 10-foot electric fence boundaries, right? But that's still unbalanced. That's another thing that's come up for every single sign this month. It's like that's an imbalance of yin and yang energy, right? How do we get that balance? We have to come back to 0 point. We have to descend, face our shadow, see that that friend betraying us so many years ago made us become this false version of ourselves. Accept that that's the truth. Ascend so we can see our whole, all this is happening. I can't talk. All this is happening in hanged man position, right? So now when we ascend back to our Likert scale, we're seeing that this side, no boundaries, 10-foot electric fence boundaries are really two sides of one coin, right? So we haven't really changed it all. It's just like we changed the outside, but we're still in the same space that we were on the other side of the Likert scale. That becomes the AHA Epiphany that you have in the hanged man position, right? So that's when you're able to ascend with the enlightenment and thus transcend said timeline. So now this becomes a collective lesson that you learn. And that is in your repertoire as you start to move forward and navigate, right? And that's what I'm seeing in this Ace of Swords. So more or less, what the whole collective lesson for Scorpios in the month of January is, you guys are intended to go into February moving from the dark side of the sword. Life is happening to me, right? The glass is half empty, right? To the light side of the sword, the glass is half full. Life is happening for me. You feel what I'm saying? So the whole month of January for my Scorpio is about a shift in perspective. And the method in which to do that is to not delude yourself into thinking that you're creating a strategy to better yourself, when in truth, you're creating a strategy to shoot yourself in the foot, because what you skip trips you up later. So it's all about going from the 7 of Swords to this 2 of Wands in the reverse and facing this past thing that has unknowingly been keeping you prisoner, and realigning with your authentic self so that you can move forward into the life that you've always wanted and deserved and whatnot, or whatever. So anywho, Scorpio, that has been your soul session for January. Let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, I love your freaking face. And I'm going to see you guys sooner than later. And it's going to be in one of the soul sessions that you watch, or in the love readings that I post in the middle of the month on the 15th. So anyway, love your face. Bye.